Hey, this is Notser, and this is going to be issues with World of Warships. I enjoy the game, obviously I benefit from it, and I want to see it grow and be as popular and successful as it deserves to be. So let's get started. One issue that I feel is very simple to fix is let's not allow only premiums to have access to unique consumables. And I think the best example of this is ranked play at tier 7. It is dominated by the idea of having radar and denying line of sight with smoke. That is pretty much ranked season. And what provides great spotting and protection? The Belfast. The Atlanta has radar. Can you name a non-premium tier 7? The Indianapolis has radar. Can you name a non-premium tier 7 that has access to radar? Probably not, because I don't believe there is one. So you have to spend money in order to counter the meta with radar. Now you could obviously send blind torpedoes into the smoke. Well, guess what? The Belfast has hydroacoustic too. So I think the meta was so stagnant because of this particular small minor issue. Oh, but not sir, we need to have the premium. It needs to be so unique that you buy it. I don't believe that's the case. I think there are plenty of things about each ship that are unique enough. Like the Atlanta. The Atlanta doesn't need a single unique consumable. It is already very unique. It's very weird. The same with the Belfast. It has HE. It doesn't. Now, maybe the Indianapolis needs the best radar range, or something weird like that. Maybe the longest lasting radar, or the most chargers, or I don't know, maybe radar is just an extra consumable. Fine, but don't have premium required for the solution to a problem, and the problem was very prevalent at a single tier. If you're going to lock down ranked play into a single tier, you can't lock out a consumable from the main lines. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Imagine if hydroacoustic was only accessible to premiums. It would be pretty crappy. Or smoke. That would suck too. That seems pretty stupid. So why did they do it with radar? I have no idea. So let's fix that, Wargaming, please. Very simple. Just give it to the Soviets and give it to the American cruisers. Boom. You've now solved the problem. Make sure that it's better at some aspects, maybe range, so that the Belfast isn't the best smoker, the best hydroacoustic, the best radar. You don't want that. You want to have counterplay. You know, rock, paper, scissors, the whole point of the game. You've designed it around this idea that destroyers are good against battleships. Battleships are good against cruisers. Cruisers are good against destroyers. Aircraft carriers are good against battleships and detecting destroyers. You've designed the whole game around this. Rock, paper, scissors. Why not make sure that the consumables work just as well? Consumables are solutions to problems. It's hard to find a solution if you need a premium in order to do that. You know, it makes sense to me, but maybe I'm crazy. Another major issue that I think is pretty easy to fix is the American carrier. The American aircraft carrier is awful. Whenever they took away that second torpedo squadron, they were butchered. Absolutely butchered. Because they rely on dive bombers, and dive bombers are very RNG heavy. Very RNG heavy. I'm okay if the chance to light the target on fire is low and requires that you buff it in some way, but I'm not okay with the chance that the bomb will even hit remotely near the target is calculated. You don't have that with torpedoes. Torpedoes, they go in the exact same area. As long as you have it set up right and you can predict where the target is moving, you should be able to hit a torpedo or two. You can't say that about dive bombers. You can miss the entire set. As stupid as that sounds. So, Wargaming, let's fix it. Let's take the RNG out of dive bombers for now for the Americans. I know you don't want to give them 2 torpedoes. That's never going to happen, right? Yeah, that's never going to happen. But you got to admit, relying on dive bombers is pretty crappy. You're pretty crappy. You're pretty much absolutely worthless on the battlefield. So just help them out a little bit. Give them something. Maybe test it. I don't know. Oh, okay. So the American dive bombers don't have RNG. All of their bombs are going to land in this particular spot. As long as they have an accurate auto or manual, they'll hit the target. I think that would be just fair, considering they either have to sacrifice torpedoes in order to get a better dive bomber setup, or they have to sacrifice their chance at having any fighter protection, which is a big deal. Help the American aircraft carriers, please. I know you want to wait until you fix them. Well, you're going to fix them like 6 months from now. That seems a little ridiculous. Okay? Thank you. It sucks having to play American aircraft carriers when you know the Japanese are just better. They're just better. Now, for as good as the Japanese aircraft carriers are compared to their counterparts in the Americans, their destroyers are awful. They're awful. The Germans and the Japanese are neck and neck for the worst destroyer lines in the game. Why is this? Because they rely on torpedoes to do most of their damage. The Germans, for a different reason, obviously, their penalty is just too astronomically bad. There's no reason to fire your guns except for out of crazy range scenarios with the Tier 10. The Tier 10's stupid. I thought that module never should have been equipped on it because it throws everything out of balance. It's so ridiculous. No other German can do that. Why would you do that? Why would you make one ship so different from everything else? But beside it, the German torpedoes are okay. They have high refire, pretty good concealment. They don't really do a lot of damage. But most of the time you're using your torpedoes because your guns suck and your concealment is worse. That might be addressed with the stealth firing changes, but I still think Germans are going to be pretty weak compared to every other ship line for the destroyers because they're just so easy to hit. They don't really have good maneuverability. They're big, all these things. Their shells leave something to be desired, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. But the Japanese destroyers are just awful. They really are. They can't use their torpedoes. Their guns traverse too slow. They don't have any range. You need to give them back some of their teeth in their torpedoes, I think. It was more fun having a line where maybe you didn't ever fire a gun. Maybe you fired your gun because you knew it was giving you some benefit. But the current state of the Japanese torpedoes is atrocious. They're so easy to deal with. The player base is so much more informed of how to play the game. It feels like they made that change too abruptly. I think they need to bring back the concealment of the Japanese torpedoes and ask the player base to use hydroacoustic, use vigilance, use their aircraft, and use destroyers and cruisers to protect the battleships. I know people probably feel like, or even Wargaming, but it encouraged passive play. You're right. Not a single game since the Japanese changes has been passive. You're absolutely right. What can I say? It was the only thing holding all those people back. They decided to be super aggressive when you nerf those torpedoes. Obviously, this didn't happen. Obviously, the problem with passive play, and this is another issue with the game. The problem is the game really doesn't reward aggressive play or team play. The game doesn't give me extra points for spotting a target. The game doesn't give me extra points for providing smoke to my teammates. It doesn't give me any more points to use hydroacoustic to spot torpedoes for my teammates. I could go on and on and on and on. The game is designed very selfishly in this regard. There are no assist ribbons. You need to get the kill itself. Even certain wargaming regions are encouraging selfish play by stealing kills and stuff like this. Just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Let's work towards a better future where teammates actually help each other. And how do you do that? You reward them for being good teammates. If you smoke up a teammate, give them points. If it protects them from taking damage, give them points. If they do damage from inside your smoke, give them points. If you spot for a teammate, give them points. If you use hydroacoustic to spot torpedoes, give them points. Is it really this hard? I don't think it is. You need to encourage team play. You can't discourage it. Why are you discouraging it? Give assist ribbons. If I fire at a target, I shouldn't be rewarded for waiting until the very last second to get the kill. There needs to be, I don't know, maybe an assist ribbon is worth the exact same as the actual kill. I just don't understand why these are not in the game already. Is Wargaming afraid that the gameplay might be too team-oriented? Oh man, could you imagine if players actually cared about their teammates? That would be the worst possible situation. Don't even suggest that ever again. Steve, get the hell out of here. I mean, it's like unbelievable. It's a 12v12 and I don't feel like I get anything from helping my teammates. Another aspect of this that I would really like to see improved is fighting around objectives. There really isn't a benefit for being around an objective. You need to be in an objective or attacking someone who's in an objective. But that's not how Warships works. A battleship operating very close to a capture point is providing a lot to that capture point. It can really help your team by scaring off the enemy. Why not have some sort of system that detects the location of the target in relation to the capture point and whether they can actively influence it, either by their gun range, their torpedo range, their ability to provide AA protection for their teammates? That's another thing that you could reward. There are so many ways that you could encourage players to fight near the bases, risk more of their ship for a larger reward. There's just not enough encouraging, aggressive, fun, team-oriented play. Why would anyone stick their neck out for a teammate if they're not going to be rewarded for that particular action in the moment? Basically, team-oriented play is only rewarded when you win the game. That seems like an all-or-nothing scenario, doesn't it? I don't really like that. Yeah, Wargaming, let's fix these. These are not complicated issues. I basically chose issues that could really be adjusted today. Now, speaking of today, what do you think Wargaming could do to improve World of Warships? Let me know in the comments. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.